is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.
Walking through the neighborhood where Caylee Anthony lived, it is very striking of how picturesque, quiet, and peaceful the neighborhood is. A lot different than a lot of Orlando. Very peaceful, calm, and serene. There's even birds in the sky. Before we begin, I do want to point out that we do realize how sensitive this topic is, even today, for a lot of people. So I promise you we're going to be as respectful as possible in finding these locations. Yes, we do a lot of Disney and happy theme park videos, but Grimmlifecollective, when it first began, dealt with a lot of grim locations. In 2019, you're going to see a lot more of that, a lot more true crime stuff. But for now, today, we are tracking down, visiting, documenting, and sharing the crime scene locations of the Caylee Anthony murder and trial scenes. Yeah. In an effort to be as respectful as possible, because there are people home and they are taking down the Christmas decorations. This house right here was Caylee Anthony's house, where she lived with her parents. And Caylee, it's a small little house in a nice little neighborhood. Very quiet suburb.
Like any other.
Actually a really nice area too. Very quiet. You can hear the birds.
It's like those shows that you see on Lifetime, The Killer Next Door and things like that, or
And things that you least expect.
you know, sleeping in, I don't remember the titles, but yeah.
You can see pictures online of news crews and police tape and all kinds of different signs out in front of this house. But that's the actual house right there. Ultimately, the whole point of this video was to pay our respects to Caylee Anthony, this being in our own backyard. And we tracked down where Kaylee's body was found about 10 years ago. And Jessica and I brought some stuffed animals for her. Christmas has just happened and the new year is coming. It's back here in the woods, right to the right of that tire where those flowers are, where from pictures it seems that's where Kaylee's body was found. But there's signs that say private property, so we're not going to trespass. We're just up here at the edge of the property.
That's barely 20 feet from the road.
Putting some stuffed animals for her.
And for me, what's so shocking about this is it practically being in our own backyard. But I remember when during the trial, and they're giving you details of the discovery of her body, they made it sound like it was in some heavily wooded area where they found her, but really it's barely, I mean, what, 30, 40 feet from the side of the road. And not only that, but it's right across the street from an elementary school in a suburb. It wasn't some abandoned forest somewhere. It was just driving through a subdivision, stopped at a little secluded wooded area right across from a school. Then that's where the poor deer was found, discarded.
It wasn't that far from our house. It was right over beyond those trees is where she was living. Caylee and Caylee were living with their grandparents.
I mean, it's barely 2 blocks.
Yeah.
Maybe 3, maybe 4. I mean, I could walk there in 5 minutes.
Another location that was crucial to the Caylee Anthony story is that apartment building, and that apartment 708 right there. It's crazy to think that at one point Caylee Anthony and Caylee Anthony walked this same walkway up these stairs to the second floor apartment that was Casey's boyfriend, Tony Lazzaro. It has been 10 years since the crime, and things have changed, mainly the color of the building. It is blue. At the time, during the photos, it wasn't like that, but what has remained is the apartment, and it's right there. And with a bit of luck, the current tenant here currently at 708 is moving out. And we actually stumbled upon a very nice lady, and she has led us inside to take a look at the apartment. The apartment complex here is rather nice. Very nice, actually, but like we said earlier, apartment 708 is where Tony Lazaro lived, and Caylee Anthony spent 31 days here. This was the living room. Very nice place. I mean, it could need a little cleaned up. I mean, it's been lived in, like I said. The person who's lived here now is currently moving out and in the process of cleaning everything. But this bedroom right here that Jessica just walked into, in front of that window is where the two famous photos of Casey and Caylee were taken.
Do you look at my
that they showed in the courtroom.
That's the picture.
What are we looking at?
The angle of it.
The angle. So what we were trying to do here, you can see we're taking a picture. The pictures that Casey had on her phone were selfies. And we had to line it up just like this and test it out just to make sure. And one long shot here.
See if I can't take it so you kind of see.
Oh, it's getting dark. There we go.
So I'm not taking a selfie, but that is the composition that they took the photo in.
The same photo.
Mm-hmm. One of the last pictures of the little girl. Of the door.
Slamming of the door, that wasn't anything supernatural. Very windy. Bathroom. So how much did she say that this apartment was?
$1,600 for the whole unit, but they're separate bathrooms. You share a center living space, and then there's your own bathroom, bedroom, closet, and the same on the opposite side.
It's completely by chance that we stumbled upon this. I mean, we knew that we were coming here, but it's completely by chance that we stumbled upon the renter as she's moving out, which is very cool. We got to get inside and take a look at the apartment.
And she told us the story.
And she told us a very cool, little bit of a creepy story that she's experienced when she's lived here. She's currently moving out. How many times can I say that? Let's go outside here. It's a nice view.
And they said that they used to walk up the stairs and see the lake behind.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting following the steps of Casey and Caylee Anthony in Caylee's last days. This was a crucial piece of the puzzle. I know I said it, but this apartment is where Caylee and Tony were staying and partying whenever her daughter, Caylee...
While they were supposedly partying.
Yeah, while they were supposedly partying, and Caylee was missing the entire time in that place. Crazy, right? Here in Orlando at the corner of Goldenrod and East Colonial Drive at this Amscot is where Caylee Anthony abandoned her car. It was found in this parking lot, not entirely sure where. Possibly there, or where we parked our car, the green Mini Cooper. Her reason for leaving it here abandoned? It ran out of gas. Now, don't quote me on this, but I do kind of remember reading somewhere that it was thought at one point that Caylee's body was dumped here in this dumpster. But that proved to be untrue. Ultimately, what propelled the Caylee Anthony case and the search for Caylee into the media spotlight is what happened behind this fence at Johnson's Wrecker Service. It's a towing company. Caylee Anthony's parents thought that Casey and Caylee were somewhere in Tampa for work, when in all actuality, for 31 days, Caylee Anthony was kind of partying it up and living with her boyfriend at the time in an apartment building. Casey's parents got a notification from this towing company taped to their door saying, hey, your car has been impounded, which was a white Pontiac Sunfire, I do believe. Confused because why would their car still be here in Orlando, Caylee Anthony's parents head to this towing company to get the car, and they discover what smells to be, what seems to be, smells to be, what appears to be the smell of a decomposing body coming from the back of the car. And suspicious minds start wondering what happened to Caylee. Yeah, that building is really tall. 10 years ago, Time magazine called the Caylee Anthony trial the social media crime of the decade, and it all took place in this building. This is the Orange County, the Florida Courthouse, and it is inside there where Caylee Anthony was put on trial for murder, but ultimately acquitted. See the birds up there flying around? They're everywhere today. Looking back at everything, I find myself kind of going over and processing what we saw today and what I've read in the news leading up to this, to go and visit the places. And one thing that really sticks out, we talked about it, Jessica and I talked about it in the car, was that we understand that it's a private property where they found Caylee's body, but I found it a little sad, more sad than usual, that there wasn't really anything there anymore, like a cross or anything you find in memory of her, like you would find somebody who, a loved one who passed away on the side of the road during a car accident or something like that. It's barren, it's empty. So I actually feel really good about what we did, stopping by, paying our respects, and leaving a teddy bear for her. Actually felt kind of nice, very good to do that.